Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of 1212 The Day, a Korean political thriller from 2023 that stars Hwang Jung-min, Jung Woo-sung, and Lee Sung-min. The director here is Kim Sung-soo, whose career highlights include Musa the Warrior and Asura, the City of Madness. 1212 The Day was the biggest box office success of the year in its home countries. This is a big one. After President Park's assassination, martial law is declared. Security Commander Chun Doo-gwang, played by Hwang Jung-min, and the officers who follow him stage a coup. Tae-shin, played by Jung Woo-sung, a stubborn commander of the Capital Garrison Command who believes that soldiers should not take political action, fights against him. As the conflict between the two men grows, the military leaders postpone their decisions, and the Minister of Defense disappears. One evening's events will determine the fate of South Korea. Now, this is based on historical events, but it has some fictionalized elements, of course. Now, movies about historical political events or moments may sound boring on their surface, but some of the better Korean films from the past decade have been political dramas or thrillers. You had A Taxi Driver, 1987, When the Day Comes, The Spy Gone North, and The Man Standing Next are just a few examples. So is 1212 The Day good enough to carve out its own identity within this little subgenre? The answer to the question is yes. All right. Now, sometimes political movies can get a little bit confusing, but the story in this one is very cleanly presented and easy to follow. Early moments are kind of what you'd expect from a film of this kind. Get some secret meetings, illegal interrogations, some press conferences. And as the main conflict settles in, we have Jung Woo-sung's character receiving an offer of promotion from Lee Sung-min due to his traditional values and lack of greedy, power-hungry personality traits. He's a pretty trustworthy person, probably won't abuse his power, which is why he's being considered for this position. But he really does not want the position. It's not something he wants to deal with. But he's convinced into doing so for the better good of the country. And he immediately butts heads with Hwang Jung-min's character, who works, I believe, in the intelligence division. And even as early as the opening 15 minutes, you could tell these guys do not like each other. Because Hwang's character does a lot of illegal interrogations, and he's a real shady guy. And he's the one who schemes to take over the government. And his goal is to accomplish that in one evening. Now, the opening half hour of this movie is good quality stuff, I would say. But the vast majority of this movie's runtime consists of one gigantic set piece. And it begins near the end of Act 1, I would say, and it lasts throughout the rest of the film. And from that point on, this becomes just a fantastic movie. And the sequence is so nicely crafted because these characters are spread out amongst different locations that evening. And many of them do not know immediately that something big is happening. So as a viewer, you're kind of wondering, when certain characters would find out about what's happening and what they could do to stop it or execute their plan. And time is of the essence. So you're kind of on there's a sense of urgency to the film right until the end of the film. One thing I enjoyed was that the control of power was up in the air for most of the movie. In some movies, you'll have maybe the bad guys take over immediately, and then the good guys need to somehow win against all odds. But that really doesn't happen here. You know what I mean? Obviously, one side takes the advantage during the final act, but until then, it's pretty much, it's up in the air, especially if you're not familiar with Korean history. I kind of knew what was probably going to happen, but if you're unfamiliar with Korean history, it's almost like watching a closely fought contest or sporting event that you just don't know what the ultimate resolution will be. But both sides make plays. No one has an overwhelming advantage for most of the film. That makes it interesting. Another observation is that there are many moments of crafty, non-violent tactics that are used despite the fact that tensions are running really high. That kind of surprised me, though. It does make sense because you have different factions within the same military and government that are attempting to control, through force, certain locations and people. And some of these guys are just taking orders. They don't even know what the heck's going on. They're just taking orders from up top, like, wait, you want me to do what? It's not like they want to fight against their own fellow countrymen, but they're kind of forced to. And this also sets the stage for a lot of characters who care more about their self-preservation than the greater good of the country. There are some characters in this that are willing to die for their cause, but more often than not, people kind of back down or switch sides after considering their own personal interests. So those few people in the movie who are actually willing to put their life on the line create some of the best dramatic moments in the film. And those moments really mean something in this. Now, there are a lot of like good little moments as well. Like there's some interesting interaction near the beginning. I like the scene where the reporter asks the security commander if Korea was working its way to being like more towards a democracy. And the security dude responds, he's like, haven't we always been a democracy? Like, where do you work? And I don't know a lot about Korean history, but I got the point of that exchange. There are a few great lines in this as well, which I won't spoil it for you, but there's one line near the end from Hwang Jung-min that's really good. Performances are great. Hwang Jung-min and Lee Sung-min are slam dunks, but I will say this. Jung Woo-sung impresses me more and more as he gets older. Like, I've always liked the guy, but he's blown me away with some of his like more recent performances in the past few years. I mean, Hunt from 2022 was one big example. I loved him in that movie. And he continues to sneak up my ranks of favorite Korean actors. He's really good in this. So, I mean, I highly recommend 12/12 The Day. It's a must-see film, and it's currently available, streaming on Amazon. So I would check this one out immediately. And as always, we'll see you next time.